Mayor, the last one is from Amy Jacobson. She says her question is, this month this is the worst September for murders in Chicago since the 90s. That following closely behind July, one of the worst months for homicides since the record-keeping began during the 1950s. What do you attribute to these high numbers, and have the lockdowns, no in-person learning in school, high unemployment, do you think that plays a part in it?
Well, I've addressed this issue many times, but I'll repeat myself for Amy's purposes. This is a very difficult time in our city, there's no question about it. And when we think about public safety, we think about it in the context of a whole ecosystem, not just the police department and not just law enforcement. And what we know is that every part of the ecosystem, from the police, from our federal partners, the courts, the prosecutors, the community-based organizations that support individuals and families, every aspect of that ecosystem has been dramatically impacted by COVID-19. And so that ecosystem that we normally rely upon and brought us under 500 homicides last year hasn't been fully activated, and some parts of it are just now starting to get back up to speed. Nobody's happy with the September numbers. We had a better month in August. We got 3 more months to make progress, and I am confident that the superintendent and his team are working literally night and day to make sure that the strategies that they are employing, the way in which they're deploying the resources, and the partnerships that we have created with community members, but also the other parts of this ecosystem, that those partnerships bear fruit and lower the shootings and the homicide levels. But one thing that is missing, and that is help from the federal government. Attorney General Barr came here a few weeks back to do a victory lap on Operation Legend, which was a completely misplaced because those resources actually hadn't even gotten here at the time that he was taking credit for. What we need is common sense background checks and gun regulation, and we need that nationwide. When we are situated in a location next to Indiana and Wisconsin and Michigan that have very different gun laws, and literally where you can go over the border to Indiana and buy military grade weapons in almost any quantity that you want, as long as you've got the money to pay for it, no questions asked. We are constantly going to be challenged with gun violence in the city. That's why the federal government is uniquely qualified to help on this issue. I sent a letter to President Trump on July 20th outlining very specific asks from the federal government. I've never even been given the courtesy of a response. So we are going to continue the fight. We're going to continue to do everything that we can to work to make Chicago and every neighborhood as safe as possible. But we need to deal with the reality of gun violence. We've got to take the gun supply out of the hands of children, out of the hands of teenagers and adults. We've got to stop the flow. When we've got 60% of the guns that are found on the streets coming from other states, we need a federal solution to that problem. And so far, under this president and this administration, none has come. And we need that to happen.